Welcome, Monia Chokri. You're the director of Simple Comme Sylvain, or The Nature of Love in English.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on
Why?
what you think about the title. But the film premiered earlier this year in Un Certain Regard at the Cannes Film Festival and tells the story of Sophia, a 40-year-old philosophy professor who ends up caught up in a passionate love affair with Sylvain, who couldn't be more different from her husband. He's simple, but in the best ways. Now, can you tell us about how this film came to be as a writer-director?
After I did my first feature, A Brother's Love, I was really into this idea of making a love story because there's not so much love. I mean, there's a lot of love stories in cinema, but there's not so much in my country, in my nation, in Quebecois nation. So I was like, maybe it's interesting to dive around this idea of love. So I was starting to have reflection about love, and then I was starting to think of this idea of couple and why the couple was something, this notion of couple was something that felt me, I felt like choked by the couple state. And so I started to think of this idea of what is a couple? Is it like, and so my reflection about the fact that a couple is political institute, economic institute, and has nothing to do with love, or it's new that it has something to do with love. So, and I had this idea of making two people from social background very differently having a love affair, but is the couple is something that can pursue in their relationship? Like, can they create this couple state?
So how much of that social standing is actually important in a relationship? What do you like?
Oh, I mean, it's
doomed to fail?
Well, it's enormous actually. Like, I'm not like precisely in the stats, but that we know is most of the people, like it's an more enormous amount of people who have relationship with people in the same social background. Most of the people don't. I mean, before the love thing, we were arranged marriage, like in by families. But now it's kind of like a disguised thing. Like, we think that love is a random thing, but it's not. You know people from where you come from, your school background, work space. So you always stay with your social background.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it could be a heavy topic in a way where love is kind of difficult to get through the social standing, but your film has a lot of comedy in it. It's very lighthearted, I'd say. Is that a tone that you were trying to strike from the get-go, or was it something that kind of came as you were writing and shooting?
It's something that I always, people ask me a lot that, and I always say, like, I'm not like someone who think that I'm gonna write a comedy when I write, When I write, I just try to define or to show the world as I see it. And I don't make some limits in my head of what I have to write, and in the film and in all my films, sometimes there's like more dramatic scenes, and then after it's a comedy scene, and it's really the way I write, I never know when I'm starting a scene if there's gonna be a comedy in. I just like Chekhov, like the great theater author, has this capacity of navigate through comedy and sadness, and I think life is like that too. So that's why I write like that in a way.
And a lot of the comedy comes from your lead, who I believe you're also friends with in real life. So how much was she always going to be this person in your film? Was it just like a role for her that you saw, or was there collaboration between the two of you?
I mean, there's like a normal and natural collaboration between us, because she's always the first who reads my scripts, every script, and she's very intelligent and brilliant and has a really beautiful reflection on life and matters and subject that we talk in the movie. It's of course a collaboration because she's part of the thing, even it's an interpretation. And then I think I pushed her in a way that she probably wasn't used to go as an actor. and she has the strength to do it too. I'm a real admirer of her work.
Regardless of all of this surrounding the comedy and everything, at the core center we have love there, and maybe there we can talk about the title again, because
Yeah.
I'm curious what you think about it, because it's Simple Comme Sylvain. He's like Sylvain is a simple person, other than the title of The Nature of Love, which is two things that are very true for the movie. Do you have not that you do you have a preference, or what do you
No,
think
I mean, I chose both titles, so it's my fault. One journalist told me, like, I hate the title in English. I hate it so bad. And I was like, well, I chose it, so I'm sorry. But it was very difficult for me to find the title in English. It loses a little bit of comedy because in French, of course, I would literally try to translate it by Simple as Sylvain, but then in the English world, Sylvain is not really a common name,
right? Okay.
And Sylvain has a big reference in our nation. Like, what if you say Sylvain, you really know what kind of guy is that, and it's also a play word with an expression in French that's simple as hello. And the expression in English is like easy as pie, so it didn't work in English. And I like this. Of course, it loses a little bit of comedy, but for me, nature and love was part of the film. So I was like, maybe it's the best thing I could find in English to translate this idea of the film, you know.
I think it is, because maybe you go into the film expecting to get an affair story, but it then kind of dives deeper through her profession as a philosophy teacher.
Yeah.
You do get a lot of depth in kind of trying to analyze that.
Yeah, it has a reference to the nature, because she goes through the nature, meeting Sylvain, and also it's the nature of love by this idea of what philosopher thinks of love. So yeah.
Was she always from the get-go a philosophy professor? Was that something that was like in the first draft? Or did you get there to kind of explore those?
I don't really remember, but I love that my female lead character, are in the university, or they always like goes around university in a way, because I like to create a female character who thinks, who has the ability of thinking world. And so I think this idea of being a professor was probably in the beginning of the film. And I guess, but the fact that I was starting to read about love by philosopher fulfill my idea of her teaching those theory. But I'm not sure exactly how it happened, because it was 6 years ago, but I think it was a mix of that.
Well, it comes together very naturally in the movie, I gotta say. So
thank you.
It works well. Something else that works really well are the intimate scenes, which I've heard you say before that it's for you. It's gotta move the plot along. That there needs to be a purpose for it. Can you maybe elaborate on that? What those intimate scenes mean?
Well, it's because, of course, it's a love story. So I didn't need to, but it's a passionate story. So I wanted those scenes happen in the film, and I wanted to explore also the intimacy and the sexuality and the desire of a woman. So, and how I would translate it on images. So, and there's like six scenes of sex, or 6 of 7. Like, there's a lot in the movie. But I have like restriction in my head. Like, I didn't want to show the body of my actress. I wanted that she's a she desire, but she's not an object of desire, because, well, she is, but I want her perspective of what she desired. So it was important for me to show more of what she's looking at than what than normally we see on film, when we see most of the time the body of a woman. And I treated the scenes, or I write the scenes, the sex scenes, as I do for dialogue scenes. Like, it's the same for me. It's just like, the purpose of a sex scene for me has to be in a way of like push, make the story, goes forward, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So If it's not, I don't care about like sex scenes. Like it has to have something to do with her psychology and where is she at the moment, and so the sex scenes are quite different in the film, and it says something very different about her.
And with your cinematographer André Tourpin, I think you captured there's this distinct look with it that you've used before, right, in your previous film with the long lenses and zoom lenses. So you're kind of peering into the world.
Yeah.
What's intriguing to you about that style that you keep going back to that? What about it?
Well, I pushed it a lot in this film. Most of the shots are made by zoom, except like 1 or 2 because there was not enough light, so we did it on prime. But it was 2 ideas about that. The first one is I was thinking of like animal documentary when I was first think of the aesthetic of the film. Like I wanted this idea of like animal that I see from far, in the documentaries, and there was this idea, and also because I really, really enjoyed the work of Robert Altman, and I wanted a more sensual film that I used to work, like I used to do a more staccato film, more I don't know, square film, I would say, and I wanted something more round. So I started to study a lot how he was like working with his camera and doing some dollies and zoom, and everything is always moving in his film. So I studied a lot of that, and I think zoom was helping me to open the space, close the space, find like close up, like in the same scene, not cutting so much, not having too much shot in the scene, just work well with the scene and until when I can go on the scene with one shot,
Mm-hmm. Well, visually and on a narrative level, I think your film is very much worth checking out. So go do that if you haven't already. So thank you so much.
Dans mon monde, je parle très normalement.
Ça veut dire quoi, ça, dans ton monde? C'est un regard sur notre rapport à la nature, les réchauffements climatiques.
Je passe ma vie à parler avec des gens qui ont beaucoup de vocabulaire, puis ça les rend pas plus habiles.